to episode 229 of
Brutal Battle.
All right. Is that like Mike underwater, like Aquaman Mike?
I think kind of like Ewok Mike.
And I actually just realized as I was doing the intro, I've reverted back to my old style. Because I had been saying, welcome to Mystery Beers episode number 229 of, because that's the new naming of it. So I apologize to everyone for these past, well, this is the third in a row. I'm sorry I messed that up.
You got to throw old school in every so often.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, when you've been doing something a certain way for a long time, like this podcast's been going on for over 6 years now, it becomes automatic.
Yep.
You just do it. You just go, and you forget. Kevin Smith's been having that problem because he has a podcast called Fat Man on Batman, and then he lost a ton of weight. And it is not all about Batman anymore, so they changed it to Fat Man Beyond. And, like, he still, every time, is like, this has been Fat Man on Batman. They're like, no.
That's still a good nod to Batman, though. I'm not going to lie. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. So, all right, so we're still sipping on a little bit of this Duclaw Devil's Dew, 5 years old. If you want to know all the information on the tasting notes and all that stuff, reference the last episode, number 228. Mystery Beers episode number 228, and God, it's still so good. As it keeps warming, it gets more amazing. Duclaw, you did it well in 2014 with this beer. Kick ass. That was Jim Wagner, which is an interesting tie-in to our new topic for this episode.
Yes, it is.
So Jim Wagner has a brewery. I don't think we've talked about this, but if we have, and it's a rehash, we're getting Mike's perspective on it. It is about self-serve taps, basically. And actually, I can check if we've done this while we're doing it. But it's so Jim Wagner used to be the head brewer at Duclaw Brewing Company. Then started a brewery called Balt County Brewing, or BC. They're going by BC Brewery now,
AKA Baltimore County Brewing Company.
Yeah, in Hunt Valley, I guess.
I think it's Hunt Valley. Yeah,
technically Hunt Valley, and they have like those on the wall self-serve taps, which I don't know if people are super familiar with those or not, but literally you like get a card and then
X number of dollars on the card, and then you can go over to the machine, swipe your card, and then you pour yourself a beer.
Yeah, and it's so literally like you serve yourself. Like you serve yourself every time. I'm trying to see if nope. There's nothing found on the website. Sorry, people. I was verifying. We haven't talked about this, so this is all fresh.
All right.
Thank goodness.
Love new things.
Yeah. So Rebecca and I experienced this when we first went there. We've been there 2 times now. It's a solid brewery. Jim Wagner does really good stuff.
Oh, yeah. No, I've never had anything against that man. He's always been a really good brewer.
Yeah, he's awesome. Plus a really nice guy, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I forget how many taps they have. It's like 20 or something around there. But anyway, so each individual tap has 2 different beers that you could select from it. So you just kind of put your card in, you select what beer that is, and you do the tap. Well, I'm sorry, it's like one screen, 2 taps there for each different beer. If it was one tap, it would actually be a bad idea.
No, terrible idea. Terrible idea.
They would taste like each other, which is just I misspoke, I'm sorry. I think it's the Devil's Dew going to my head, to be honest.
Possible. We've been having some high octane beers tonight on the episodes. Let's be real here.
So good. So I just kind of wanted to talk about this whole self-serve tap idea. Is it a great idea? Is it a bad idea? Is it in between idea? You go first.
I'm definitely going to go with it's an in-between idea. There's some really good pros and cons on both sides of the argument here. On the pro side, you don't have to worry about your customers waiting for beers. Their beer goes empty. They can fill it. Your ticket time becomes obsolete, and you can focus on the cocktails and the food ticket times, and it helps you focus on other things. One of the biggest cons, in my opinion, is overconsumption. In a regular bar, I order from a bartender. I order from a waitress. They can gauge the level of drunkenness I get.
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point, bars do have to start cutting people off. On a self-serve tap system, that gets hard to do. And fortunately, Maryland's not one of these, but several states have dram shop laws, where if I allow somebody to overconsume in my establishment, They drive home, they get into an accident, they hurt or injure somebody. I am now held liably responsible for that.
Right.
To me, that's a big no-no for self-serve taps. I want that ability to be like, whoa, no. I cut that person off at this time. Here's my proof. Here's my evidence. Yeah. With a self-serve tap, you're playing a dangerous ground, do I feel like, just to save some ticket time or employee hours, employee times, right, to hire an extra person.
So 2 things on that as a little bit of a rebuttal. One, I feel like with technology, there's got to be a way that you can monitor the ounces someone has consumed. I mean, you can't, like, you can monitor in dollar amount, basically, because each of the pours cost a different dollar amount. Like, it literally will say on the screen, like, X amount of cents per ounce pour. So, literally, you can just pour, like, 1 ounce. You can pour, like, 10 ounces, whatever. Actually, I don't think the glasses are that big, but whatever. But I wonder if they're able to monitor how much a person is having, and they can shut off the card. The other thing is, real quick, they also have a bar with a bartender, and that's where they have the higher ABV stuff. So, like, things that are barrel aged, you have to actually go to the bartender for.
Well, and that's a good safety feature there, but I don't need a barrel aged beer to get to the point where I can get drunk enough where there's no way I should be on the road.
True.
So it's one of those situations where it's like a cost and effect, where it's like you do have some pros to it, but personally, I think the cons outweigh the pros and the giant liability aspect of you're now allowing somebody to serve themselves alcohol. And sure, you can put, hey, this person is limited to X number of ounces before they get checked. But I can go, hey, Carlin, let me see your card real quick. I need a beer. And I'll take his card, and I'll go ring myself up for a beer. And I can go around the bar and do that several times. And because I'm dealing with a machine, it can't get regulated.
Yeah, it can't validate that.
I'm all for deregulation, but I'm also all for being safe.
Right.
And having people serve themselves in your own establishment of alcohol, I don't necessarily agree with. It's a tough, touchy subject.
So I would be interested in the legality of it. Like, what are the actual laws with this self-serve tap system?
It's honestly, I know this way the state of Maryland works. It's going to depend on the state. It's going to depend on the county level. The alcohol industry is so subcategorized where in one thing, Baltimore County, they can't be open on Sundays unless they serve hot dishes as like a bar restaurant. Harford County, we can be open every day of the year. The laws are just so divided in between each county than within each state, where then you got states that are state-run stores. It's a very confusing topic to get into when it gets to the actual laws and the what's the word I'm thinking of?
Regulation.
Thank you. The regulations of the aspect.
So my question then, kind of snowballing off of everything, is I know that in order to serve alcohol, you have to be certified. You have to have a server's certificate, correct?
And not always. In some counties, all you need is one employee to be TAM, TIPS certified that's in the building. And then everybody else in the building can have no certification whatsoever, just whatever training the store policy has. And there only has to be one person in the building that has to be trained.
So I guess I'm wondering what Baltimore County is, because it seems weird to me that you would have places where everyone individually has to have that certification in order to serve alcohol, yet you're allowing customers to pour their own who obviously are not certified. Themselves. Right.
And I also get into the aspect of, what are our lost leaders on these self-serve taps? I know I can pour a beer a whole lot better than other people's. I can pour a beer with less foam. What's somebody going up and just having the glass at 90 degrees, popping the tap, and you're getting then a 50 to 40% yield because of foam?
Yeah, but they're charging it based off the ounces output, so they're still getting their money on that.
As a customer, I'd be pissed if I'm, getting all like.
But that's your fault.
But not everybody. This is when it comes down to like that working in a liquor store, the holiday season of I don't ever drink, but it's a special occasion, so I'm gonna. But I don't know anything. You get invited to a work party at one of these things, you don't know what you're doing. Next thing you know, this beer that should cost you $4 or $5 costs you $15 because you poured so much head down the drain.
That's true. Yeah, but when you're doing the pouring, like you're taking that on,
Well,
you know? Because, like I said, they also have a bartender you could go to.
That is true.
So it's kind of leaving the options.
But only the
there.
higher octane beers are at that bar.
No. They have other beers too. It's just for the higher octane ones.
You have to go to that one.
Yeah. So I think it's set up intelligently that way, but I also think that your arguments on the negative side of the self-pour are very valid, especially the over-serving situation.
Yeah, you really need somebody to walk around and monitor every single person at that point, because at the case of allowing people to serve themselves, you're bound to over-serve somebody.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when.
That's problematic. Let me switch it to the positives, though. Having partaken in it, have you partaken in any of the self-serve taps?
I actually have not. I've yet to be to an establishment that has. You
should go to Balk County with us. Let's go sometime.
I would not mind that one bit.
Go check it out. We do need to go back. It's been a while, and their food. From what I understand, they have good food. They have a food truck.
Honestly, I would like to see Jim again. It's been many of years since I've actually seen him and been able to shake his hand.
Yeah, he's awesome. When we were there, the first time we were there, he saw us and he came over and talked to us, because I know Jim from some years ago, and I've continually run into him here and there and kept talking to him. And he was like, "Oh, did you try the it was a Scotch ale?" He's like, "Did you try the Scotch ale?" I was like, Yeah. I tried the bourbon barrel aged version of the Scotch ale. It was awesome. It was like so good. It was amazing. And not many people make Scotch ale. So when I see a Scotch ale, I'm like, I'm going to try that. And he was like, "Did you try the regular Scotch ale, not bourbon barrel aged?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Oh, you have to." The difference, he's like, there's like a peat smoke in the original, and then the barrel aging took it all out.
Really?
Yeah, and he was like, it's insane. So
that
he
is
just
really
like
interesting.
Ran behind the bar, like poured one real quick and brought it out. It's like, "Here, try them side by side." And I was like, that's ridiculous. He's like, same beer.
I would have
just one's barrel.
I would have think that would have been completely opposite, where the barrel aged version picked up the peat.
No, it took it out. It was crazy. But anyway, I digress. The positives of this. So having used it actually myself, it is nice to be able to say, I'm ready for a beer right now.
Yeah.
And I can get a beer right now.
My beer's empty.
Like, that's great.
Yeah.
And then you can just look at the screen, because they have it on a TV screen of all the taps and what's on it, and just be like, that sounds good. I'll pour myself some of that. And the other thing is, you're not like, I have to have 4 or 5 ounces of this. I have to have 10 ounces, 12 ounces, 16.
Pour to taste and try.
Yeah. Literally, I would go around and just be like, 1 ounce of that.
Yeah.
Taste it real quick. Nope. 1 ounce of another thing. Taste it real quick. And you can rinse.
Yeah.
You can do that. So those are real positives. I was going to ask
you whether like you were able to get new glasses, if they had special tasting glasses.
You can't get new glasses, but they do have those little rinsers where you just kind of like
push down and it blasts the water solution.
Water in.
I have used those before.
Yes. Which Rebecca is kind of always like, there's like a mouth contact point there in common, and so like you're kind of sharing germs with everyone else. So maybe not super sanitary. I don't know. So there's that, but yeah, like the freedom of it was cool, because it's like I can get however many ounces I want. I can just literally stand up there, try a little bit from every single tap, and then go back. And
that's where I talk about overconsumption.
Right. No, that's true. But then another negative tied to being able to go up whenever you want is the indecisive people who will literally clog up the area.
Oh, I could only imagine.
Standing there, looking up at the screen and not moving. And there had been a few times where I was there and I'm like, I know what I want, because I looked at the screen from far away.
Yep.
And really it just kind of goes back to something I'm seeing a lot of times lately. I hate people, man.
But those are also the people that are going to be paying more for the head than they are the beer they're actually drinking.
Quite possibly, yeah. But yeah, it's this kind of, it's like, for me, it works really great because I know what I'm doing. But when you get other people involved, and especially when you have a large volume of people there, it becomes a log jam. It's like traffic on 95, you know? It's just, gridlocked.
One person can jam up the whole system.
Yeah. But the other cool thing about Balk County in particular is that they also have coffee on tap. So you can self-serve yourself some coffee.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And they also have like a cider option.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I think...
Is it a cider they make themselves, or is it a cider they bring in?
I think they bring it in.
Okay.
I'm not 100% on that. I might be wrong. But the cool thing about Balk County in particular, this doesn't have to do with the tap style, they do a lot of different styles. Like, they have a lot of different selections all at once. So there will be something for everyone, which is smart. That's
important.
It's crazy smart.
Yeah, no, that's really important. It was when I was up in last September up in Massachusetts with visiting my brother. It was Great Rhythm Brewing. First of all, a brewery that only has 7 taps is questionable in my opinion. Their beer was good, don't get me wrong, but all 7 taps were IPAs. And I'm an IPA lover, don't get me wrong. So when I saw that, I'm like, sweet. I can try 7 different beers and try. But I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, you know what? Not everybody's an IPA lover.
Yeah.
And you need to have some variety. Diversify your bonds.
Oh, a callback to 2 episodes ago on the Constellation.
I had to throw that one in there.
Nice. I like it. Yeah, the diversity on taps is a big deal. Like, I'll give you the example. Rebecca and I went to South County Brewing in
making killer IPAs.
Fawns Grove, Pennsylvania. I'm actually not a huge fan of them. They all have one common flavor that I don't like. And I can't substantiate this, but it seems like it's all-purpose flour to me.
Okay. It might be the yeast strain they're using.
Maybe. I mean, it's possible. I just don't like that underlying flavor that tastes like all-purpose yeast or flour. But I will say that I had their Helles Lager on tap, and I really enjoyed that. It was very nice. But the problem is, we were there. I think they had 6 taps. Don't quote me on that. And 5 of them were hoppy beers, and 1 was that Helles. Oh, no, I think 1 was a Helles. There was a cider that they didn't make. It was from someone else.
Okay.
And then the rest were all hoppy beers. And I was just like, yeah, there's not a whole lot of diversity with this. Like, I would like more. But, you know, what sells. Yeah. Like, I understand that. It's just for me personally, I want to see a spread.
It's what's hot right now.
Yeah, I want to see a spread on it. But, yeah, their Helles Lager is really good. But what was crazy funny about that is while we were there was literally a patron at the bar at their tasting room saying, I don't really like independent brewing because when I go there, I feel like they mainly just have hoppy stuff on tap. And I'm like, hearing this, and then I'm looking at the tap list there, and I'm
looking
like,
at their menu too, there, buddy.
I'm like, okay, so obviously you're not happy right now.
Yeah. So you don't like this place either, and you're pretty much telling them that passive aggressively.
That falls into the category of the countless times that I hear people who want to know a lot about craft beer and don't know a lot about craft beer, so they just speak out their ass. Yeah. And they speak very confidently, and sometimes, I just let it go. Sometimes it's so ignorant, I'm just like, hold on. The ones I definitely let go are the people when I'm at a liquor store and they come in and they're like, do you have Heady Topper? And I was like,
try working at a liquor store. You don't know how many times in my head, wait, stop. Your mother said, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. Let them believe that cans are evil and bottles are the God's gifts to mankind, and that's the only way to conserve beer. Enjoy your Michelob Ultra in your bottle, sir.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but the other thing is, I then usually step back in those instances, and I'm like, I was there. I was there at one point. That was me, so, yeah. It's, it is what it is. I feel like we kind of jumped. Is there anything else you wanted to say about the self-serves?
Not really. I've never really experienced them. I've only had some kind of judgmental thoughts and opinions about this stuff. I like the concept of the ease and quick service of them. Yeah. But the liability issue of it all working in the industry has always scared the living daylights out of me.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I feel like after our talk of the pros and the cons, I feel like it's firmly in the middle. Yeah. It's just like, I can't tip the scale either way. I can't be like, overall it's good, overall it's bad. It's totally in the middle. So, I don't know. But you should experience it.
I do want to go to the Baltimore County Brewing Company. Yeah. I do want to be there.
Yeah, and actually you might want to call ahead, see when Jim's going to be around, so you can chat with him, because like we said, Jim's awesome. He's just a nice guy.
Really great, down-to-earth guy.
And makes some of the best high ABV beers, in my opinion. including this Devil's Dew.
I was about to say, for me,
made that.
Jim has always impressed me in his dark beer, stout, porter game. That's where I always felt, and it's been a long time since I've had his beer, because I haven't had one of the Baltimore County Brewing Company beers yet. But back in his days of brewing that I've had, his dark beers have always been the creme of the crop. Yeah.
Well, and he was early on the scene with bourbon barrel aging imperial stouts. Mm-hmm. He wanted to get after it a little bit harder, but Dave Benfield was kind of like, people's palates aren't really there at the moment, which was valid because that was kind of true. But he was, pilot making, like experimenting with those beers around the time that Goose Island was starting to do Bourbon County. So he was early in the game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I know that...
Sometimes I think he might have been a little too early.
Yeah, well, too early for the industry.
Yeah.
And like I've said on another podcast, Maryland comes to beer trends way late.
Oh, my God.
Always.
We are stepping up our game and improving that, though, within, I would say, the last year, 2-3 years. We've definitely improved our brewing game and the trending of the brewing game.
Well, I'm talking more from the aspect of the consumer, like what the consumer wants.
Yes, correct.
Because for a long time, like, sours were hot, like hot on the West Coast. And people in Maryland are like, ooh, you intentionally make a beer sour? What?
I don't understand the point of that. And I personally still don't understand the point of that.
And they finally caught up years later. Like the IPA craze caught on like 4 or 5 years after the West Coast had the IPA
right about there,
craze.
Yeah.
So I was like, what the hell? So anyway, but sorry people, there were a few tangents in there, but
it happens.
Yeah, firmly in the middle on these self-serves. It's crazy. Let's jump into mystery beers.
I've already kind of moved on to it. I'm not going to lie. A is weird.
Okay, so A looks like some sort of IPA kind of. It's very it's orange.
There's like a sour aspect to it.
It's like a reddish orange color, slightly hazy. Can't totally see through it. Oh. It smells very clean.
It's almost like a baby sour to me.
It smells kind of clean. Like, what do you smell in it? I get a little citrus. I see what you're saying. There is kind of like a quick tart lemon note in the nose.
Well, see, and I made the mistake of, I finished my Devil's Dew beforehand, and I accidentally picked up A and just took a sip of it without even really getting the first experience.
Is it me, or does it smell like there's like a hibiscus in there? It smells kind of hibiscus-like.
I'm not a fan. All I know is I'm not a fan of A.
Okay, this is what it smells like to me. Hibiscus and cherry.
I get the cherry notes.
Hibiscus and cherry. There's a slight saltiness. There's a slight tartness on the nose. So, yeah. That's pretty much all. But it also smells light. It smells like it's got a light body. It smells kind of refreshing, to be honest.
To be honest with you, I've already given up on it. I'm classifying that as a 2 right off the bat. I'll tell you that one right now.
Well, taste it.
I already did.
All right.
Oh, yeah, no, I already did. It has this weird, like, baby sour-esque aspect, kind of like a Flanders Red.
Okay. It's... No. I think that's just straight fruit. So in A, there is some sort of fruit. And I understand where you feel like you're getting a little bit of a tartness, but I think it's a natural tartness from whatever fruit's in it.
Oh, just because it's a natural tartness doesn't mean it's going to be a tartness I want in my beer.
I mean, I understand that, but it's I like it. I like this flavor. I'm trying to figure out what that fruit is. It's kind of coming off a little bit cherry to me, a little bit raspberry, a little bit blackberry.
I don't get the blackberry. I'm thinking of most apricot in my opinion.
No. I mean, I'm not saying no, you're not getting that, but I'm saying for me, it's more of like a berry. I like it, though. There's almost a little bit of a salinity to it. Like it's kind of, like it's maybe a Goza. It's like a little saltiness in there. It's a very light body. It's a pretty clean finish. But I'm having a hard time with that fruit. It is a berry, though. It's definitely some sort of berry. It kind of tastes like a mix of berries, like I said. Like blackberry, raspberry. What was the other one I said? Cherry.
I was going to say
which is not a berry.
Blueberry?
Blueberry. But no, I dig this. I like this beer.
That doesn't surprise me. I can tell you my rating is going to kill the average of your rating.
It's like,
right there.
It's bright. It's refreshing. Well, I mean, let me appeal to you for a minute. Don't base it off of only your personal taste. Base it off of also a mix of your personal taste and do you think it's a well-crafted beer?
But it's hard to say what a well-crafted beer is when I don't know the style of beer that it is.
Well, I'll tell you, this is well-crafted.
It could be a well-crafted beer for the style, or it could be something else that has just turned.
I'll tell you,
it's not a well-crafted beer.
But we've also had beers like that on the podcast before where they're accidentally good.
Correct. And that can happen. But that's not a well-crafted beer. That's a well-crafted accident.
But we don't know.
Correct.
Because it's a mystery beer. So I would always assume that it's intentional.
Well, see, that's why I'm always going to assume that I'm going to taste some of my personal tastes.
All right. This beer's nice. I like that beer. I like that beer quite a bit. It's good.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a sweetness on the finish. And it's nice. It's like a nice kind of counterbalance to that little bit of tartness that's in there from what I'm assuming is naturally from berries. But anyway. All right. Let's go with beer B. It is dark. It looks like a stout, basically. Or an imperial stout.
I'm getting, once again, those coffee aromas.
Yeah. There's something weird in the nose, I think.
It's a weird malty sweetness to it.
Okay, I agree with getting like that dark roastiness that's kind of coming off coffee. There's a bit of a kind of hop citrus shining through slightly, but there's something kind of weird in there. Is there like a slight grape?
I'm not getting any citrus or grape. I'm actually almost getting like a marshmallow.
I don't think I get marshmallow. I am getting like a jerky. A little bit of a beef jerky on there. Soy sauce, beef jerky, a little bit of salinity. But there's just this one thing. There's this one thing in there that I cannot pinpoint what it is, but it's kind of off for what this is. It's a little weird.
Oh, wow. Wait till you try it. That off flavor, I don't want to say it's off flavor, but that weird flavor really comes through in the taste.
Oh, it tastes very jerky-like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like soy sauce, beef jerky.
I would say more soy sauce than beef jerky, but yeah.
Yeah. But there is a little something. I feel like it's hopped relatively well, too. Because there's a
good balance.
There's a good bitterness. There is kind of like a small kick of a citrus to it. I like this beer. I like both these beers, to be honest. For me, this is the most solid episode by far. I get a little coffee in that as well. I do. And like a little bit of a sweet chocolate underlying, just kind of like under every other note there. That's good. It's coming off a slight bit creamy, too.
I get the creamy feel, yeah.
A little creamy. I like that.
Creamy always adds nice accents with the darker beers.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Well, and I think it was last episode when I was talking about that Mangalitsa Pig Porter by Right Brain Brewing. That, like, real fattiness from the pig head just was amazing in like, a heavy porter. So amazing. This is good. I feel like it's
definitely not one of my favorite darker beers, but definitely solid, drinkable. I would go back to it. The Devils do, but I would definitely keep drinking this.
As I continue with it, I feel like the chocolate starts to grow a little bit more, and I get a little bit of kind of like a smoke to it.
I'm trying to warm it up with my hands a little bit to try and get it.
I mean, it's been sitting there for a bit, so it should be relatively warmed up, but it's good but easy. And the amount of hopping, as I also continue to sip it, becomes more apparent. I feel like the hops are starting to come more forefront. It's adding more bitterness. It's adding more citrusy notes, which with each sip, oh my god, as the devils do. Sorry. Plus, I haven't had enough for dinner, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of Storm King by Victory.
I can see that, actually.
Every time I go back to Storm King, I'm just like re-impressed with that beer.
And to me, from what I remember of the Storm King has this little slight smoky-esque aspect that I'm kind of picking up with this beer, too.
One of the things I'm always surprised by with Storm King when I go to it is that it's always way hoppier than you assume any Imperial Stout would ever be. And so, I don't know, that's kind of showing up in this for me. These are both good. I'm going back to A real quick.
A is bland, sourish. No, not a fan.
I like it. Those berry flavors are nice.
We're here. Now that I've had a nice malty beer,
Light,
let me
tasty.
punish my nose and palate and go back to A.
Yeah, go for it. Remind yourself
Reset
what you
things.
don't like. This is tough. I think both these beers are really nice.
Yeah, see, once again, I'm getting that kind of funk-like aroma on A.
Yeah, probably from that kind of light tartness. I can understand that. I just think that the base beer that they used highlights that fruit flavor so well. And it's clean. It starts clean, it finishes clean.
I will give you A is clean in the aspect of the finish is short.
It's crazy clean.
It is drinkable.
I like that.
But there is a weird funk / kind of sour tartness aspect to it that, no, I'm sorry. That is not my cup of tea. And I'll go first on A. I'm calling 1.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm going to 6. To be honest,
he's just trying to pad his score. That's all.
No. That's a legit 6 to me. I like that beer a lot.
Score.
I like that beer a lot. So that's an overall 3.5. So it ends up in a decent standing.
With a little help.
Okay. B, I'll go ahead and take.
I like B.
I will take the lead on B. I'm going to give it a 5. I like that beer. That's a 5. That is nice. Obviously, I gave a 6 to A, so I liked it 1 point more than this, but this is nice. These are both really good.
For me, it's really tough with B, because without food, I want to say it's 4. But with like the right roast or like nice red meat dish, I could easily see this be a 5 or a 6 paired with the right meal.
Okay.
So it's hard to say just tasting by itself. So I'm just going to split the difference. I'm going to agree with you and go 5.
5?
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool. So that beer will be the winner, obviously, of the episode with an overall 5. A is the loser with 3.5, but for me, it's a winner. Awesome. Well, let's go ahead and reveal A first then. Loser of the episode, overall 3.5 is... What is this?
I was about to ask the same question.
Oh my gosh, I literally saw this online today.
Really?
This is by Ninkasi Brewing. Ninkasi out of Eugene, Oregon. It's their Bright Berry. It's a raspberry lime ale. This is
I can see that now.
Ale with raspberry and lime.
You got the berry right.
Yeah. I did say raspberry. 4% alcohol. This is so sessionable. Okay. So this is the very first time I've ever had anything by Ninkasi with fruit.
I think the lime got the tartness to me too much. If they didn't include the lime in there, I think it would have been a much more approachable beer for my liking.
That's a kick-ass beer to me. That's a kick-ass beer. You know, it's interesting because when I was online today and I saw that pop up, I don't even remember where I was when I saw it pop up, but like what site I was on. But I saw that and I was like... Oh, they have like a fruited beer? That's cool. I've never known them to do fruit beer. I'd really like to try that. Here we are trying it. Oh my God. I like that a lot, man.
Here, if you want, you can finish my sample of it.
Well, there you go. I'm going to have to come buy some. Rebecca got all these beers from Wine World, so I'm going to have to come buy this.
I don't remember seeing this one at Wine World, to be honest with you.
Apparently it's there.
That's kind of funny.
Well, it's probably because
I can't know everything we have in the store. We have a lot of products.
Well, that style's not on your radar either.
Not at all.
So
Not
also,
at all.
let me take a moment to say that I have a little bit of a bromance with Jamie Floyd from Ninkasi. It's probably just a one-sided bromance, but
definitely one-sided.
the time we went out there, and I know we talked about it on the podcast. People go back and check that out. Our Oregon vacation. He was just such an awesome guy, and I've seen him a few times since at Savor, and that guy's just so nice. He's such a fun dude, and I love Jamie Floyd.
Once again, as a brewer, owner of a brewery, whatever. You work and you brew for a living. How is it not hard to be a cool, down-to-earth guy? Let's be real. Unless your brewery sucks terribly, you're going to be a cool, down-to-earth guy, or you're going to be a snob, and it's going to be clearly evident. That's the truth of the nature.
Yep. All right, well, let's reveal beer
The
B.
winner.
The winner overall of 5 is, oh my God, Palo Santo Marrone by Dogfish Head Brewing. It is their
That makes perfect sense.
Their wood-aged brown ale. Oh my God, 12%.
That sounds about right.
It doesn't taste like that.
No, but knowing Dogfish Head Brewery, that does... Yeah.
I can't believe I didn't taste that particular Palo Santo wood.
Well, how often do you have a specific Palo Santo aged wood? Let's be real. You know?
That's true. That is very true. But that doesn't taste like 12.
No. But now that you mentioned, you do get that kind of woody barrel-aged aroma to it, but it's a very unique woody barrel-aged aroma.
That beer's nice.
Yeah.
It's it tastes like 8% to me, to be honest.
I kind of want to soak like a roast in it and marinate a roast in it, and then either smoke or cook it.
Yeah, I could see that being pretty awesome. I kind of want to have someone else make barbecue for me while I drink this beer.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that concept either.
Because I don't really grill. It's not my thing. But man, this is a really good lineup in my opinion. I mean, for me, I know you weren't feeling A, but you were really feeling B.
No, yeah, B is delicious.
Damn. Okay. Awesome. Still feeling the Devil's Due too.
No, I ran out a while ago.
Yeah, I'm almost out. I have like 2 sips basically left.
2 Carlin sips or one Michael sip.
Yeah.
We'll put it the way it is.
Yeah. Anyway, awesome time. Thank you so much, Mike, for being on.
Thank you for having me. It's always fun recording these.
Yeah, it is. It is a hell of a good time. And the next episode, the next decasode, I will tease it. We've talked about it. Kyle Norman had an idea. He texted me and he let me know, hey, for a tournament or a mini tournament, what you should do is try and find Rebecca's beach beer. Because we talk about it every now and then. Rebecca's always looking for a beer to enjoy
the beach,
at the beach
pool beer
in June. So I am going to know what the beers are for the decasode. It's going to be 12 beers that could be potential beach beers for her. So I'm going to go pick those out. Mike's going to help me.
There's
pick
a
them
lot
out.
of good choices to go with too. There's more and more coming out every year, and I really feel like this summer is going to be a good picking of what you can get.
And if you're out there listening to this and you're thinking, oh, beach beer, so it'll be like a Pilsner or a Lager or a Session IPA or something like that, don't think so necessarily. Could be a lot of things.
So many options.
We'll get this figured out. So thank you, everyone, for listening. Huge thank you to you, Mike.
Well, please, by all means, I get to come over, drink delicious beer. I invite me anytime. It's my pleasure.
All right. Thank you so much. And until next time,
have a brutal battle.
And keep it brutal as well.
This has been a Nerd Circle podcast production.